Thank you.
The launch is tomorrow?
It is tomorrow, yes.
The official launch?
Yes.
Is this the book?
That is an autographed copy.
Oh, my goodness.
For you.
Your autographed copy. Can I see it? Can I look at it?
Yes, you can.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Autographed copy.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Not everybody's getting an autograph.
No. I am honored. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well done, well done. So you were saying earlier on that the launch tomorrow is like an invite-only launch, right?
It is, yes.
Go on.
Yes.
Go on.
It is an invite-only launch.
Yeah.
Both tomorrow and Saturday.
Saturday is everyone, basically. No?
It is every invited one.
Every invited.
Only that for Saturday, it's a mix of people.
Yeah, but tomorrow is strictly lawyers.
It's largely lawyers.
Yeah.
There are a few corporate chiefs who have been invited.
Right.
But the majority of them are lawyers. And therefore, a lot of what will be said and done there will be in the law side.
Yeah.
On the Saturday, it's the rest of us, as I call it.
The rest. The Raia. So tell me something, Judge, tell me something. What made you want to write this book? And, you know, obviously, I always tell everybody they need to write their story. And you have had a storied career. What made you want to do this?
It's a desire to inspire others, the desire that others might see how I have gone up and may wish to take that as a way of getting up themselves. It was largely influenced by the need to tell the Kenyan story from a Kenyan point of view, because for too many times, Kenyan stories have been told by others.
Yeah.
And I felt myself that it's about time we told our stories. And I particularly want to do so because some of what the history we have gone through has either been not told or mistold. And especially what happened to what is called the Mulima area during the emergency, during the Mau Mau emergency. Yeah. That story is usually omitted by most of the people who write our history, or put in very indescriptive language. So you will see the book when you read it. I have spent a little bit of time to explain how we went through and the problems we overcame, the challenges we overcame, the sacrifice we had to make.
Was it difficult growing up in that time?
Absolutely difficult. I remember that when the emergency was declared, a lot of Kikuyu men were hounded.
Yep.
Some went off to the forest to fight. Others were loaded up and sent to concentration camps and detention camps. And only a few of those who we used to call them the collaborators, collaborating with the colonial administration, were left. And a few of those growing up then, like the likes of us, we were too young for anyone to bother about.
Yeah.
But that meant that in that period, it was the women who brought up the families. They took off the responsibility of breadwinning and raising up their children on their own. Some of them, their husbands never came back because they died in detention camps or they died in the forests, but others came back. And my own father was one of those who were detained. And I didn't see him for 9 years or so when I was growing up. And that was a challenge and a great sacrifice we had to make.
When he came back, was it difficult reintegrating, getting to know him again? Was that difficult?
It was not particularly difficult because we were told, when I and my brother were taken to see him at Udaya camp, we were taken, our mother told us he is taking us to see whether he will recognize us. And luckily, as we met him, he called us out by our names. And my mother was very happy about it.
Did you recognize him?
Well, I didn't. I can't say I had a direct recollection of how he was, but I saw the man, and now when I see myself, I see the image. That time, the image itself hadn't formed in me.
Yeah.
But he was what I could imagine. I remember because he before he went, he was stationed at Nyahururu. He only came to home once a month or something like that. So I hadn't had much interaction with him as such. And of course, when he came home, of course, it was accounting time. So all the sins you have committed since his last visit were paid for in a manner that not very likely, not very likable way. But he always came with some meat and bread.
Yeah.
At least for that, I welcomed him very much.
Tell me something. There's something in you that said you always wanted to study law.
Yes.
Why?
Again, I think this was accidental. Because as I was coming back from school sometime, I think in 1957 or something like that, I was going up. My place is, we used to go to school about 6 miles down the road. And of course, we would go in the morning and come up in the afternoon, in the evening.
Yeah.
And it is uphill. So as we were going up, we saw dust. And of course, we knew dust is a motor vehicle. So I and my friend Karemi, who was working with me, decided we're going to get a lift, seek a lift. And because we couldn't get a lift just like that, I told Karemi, you do this. Pretend to be sick, and I'll pretend to be helping you. Then I will stop you, and I will stop the car, and we seek a lift. And I did exactly that. The Land Rover came, wow, shook. And very tallish Mzungu came out saying, yo! And by the time he could say the second word, I was out that way, and Karemi was out this way. Then when we regathered, I thought about it. And I said, it was possible. We could be sick. We could have been sick.
Yeah.
He didn't care to ask. And I said, look, I'm going to become a lawyer, a judge, and he will be brought before me, and I'll sentence him to death.
That's what you decided?
Yes, I didn't sentence him to death.
Right.
Because, of course, independence came, and he went back. But coincidentally, I bumped into him again.
Oh.
I went in 1978. I went on a trip to study dispensation of legal aid within the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
On a scholarship. And I went to a Citizens Bureau in Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
A Citizens Bureau was a place where people were giving legal advice to citizens. They come and you talk to them.
Yeah.
And the person in charge was the Mzungu. And so when we got to talk, he asked me where I came from, and asked me, "Are you a Kikuyu?" I said yes. He said, when I told him I came from Central Province, he told me, "You know, I served there in police in Uthaya." I said, "Uthaya, yes. Yes, I remember." And then we talked and talked. He himself didn't remember the incident, but I remember the incident.
And it was that man?
And it was him,
in the Land Rover?
in the OHMS Land Rover.
What are the chances?
So,
yeah. Fast forward, and you open your own firm 1972.
72, that's right.
Good Lord. There couldn't have been many African firms then.
No, there were very few. There were very few. Those that were akin to Africa are those where Africans were in partnership with Asians, like say Waruhiu and Makesha, or Dane and Waleithi. Those farms, they would probably people who studied together in India or in the UK, and they came and set up their offices. There was very few purely African farms.
Yeah.
I myself had made my mind that I would practice law. Even as I came out of university, I didn't go looking for a job as a land registrar or as a commercial lawyer anywhere. I just wanted to do pupillage, be caught, and begin practice.
In the courts?
Yes.
Straight in the courts?
I was a great lover of the court.
What made you enjoy or love being in the courts? What was it?
The joy of, arguing the case. Throughout my school career, I was either chairman or secretary of the debating club, or chairman or secretary of the drama club. In high school, in higher school at Kenyatta.
Yeah.
In the university, we didn't have a debating club as such, but we had moot courts, and I like to preside over moot courts.
Yeah.
And so the idea of arguing or making out a case was ingrained in me. It still is.
It still is.
But now has been held by the fact that I'm a judge.
And when you started, was it challenging being in the courtroom against other firms that, weren't all African or weren't?
Actually, the challenge was not so much other firms. Other firms were challenged because they had held out the entire potential clientele.
Yeah.
Because my friend who I was later asked to inquire into his conduct had brought it a feeling that Africans are not capable of being lawyers. And it was something that was, it was not said loudly.
No.
But things like government work, for instance, Charles Giorgio had made sure it does not go to an African. A lot of...
It was almost the law. I mean, it was almost a decree.
Almost. Because all the parastatals were government appointees, they would take a very high risk to give you a job. Then the business community itself was largely Asian.
Yeah.
The Africans were all those out there in Kirinyaga Road and other places with some shops out in Gikomba and so on and so forth. Yeah. And you see the kind of work they would have, legal work they would have is purely debt collection.
Correct.
These people who didn't pay debts and so on.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have a large debenture to draw for a company or a large conveyancing of a piece of land and so on and so forth. So our work was left to be really debt collection and things like that.
Okay, moving on then, once you established, what were some of your most memorable cases?
Some of my most memorable cases, I don't know how I would put them. I can say yes, there were a number of family cases that succession problems with families. Then there are cases that involved prosecutions, people being prosecuted, defending the presumed criminals. That is generally the work I started with. And until maybe 75, 76 or so, I didn't have a commercial practice. I was really doing criminal practice.
Right.
And little lad cases in Githunguri and those areas. And newer part of the world also.
Kiamba.
Kiamba, yes.
Yes.
There was a lot of conflict because land had been divided.
Correct.
And a lot of it had been registered by some instead of all the brothers.
Yes.
When the brothers were somewhere in Mau and others were in detention.
Correct.
And the ones who were not there are the ones who got the land.
Yes.
And now when the others came back, they claimed their land. And of course, those who had been away wouldn't listen to that, wouldn't hear that. Yeah. And there was a lot of conflict. There still is, by the way, a lot of conflict which arises from the fact that land was demarcated in the absence of very many. So that you have a family there, the firstborn, or maybe the thirdborn or lastborn is the one who was present. So he's the one who was registered, the owner of that land.
Yeah.
When his older brother comes back and he wants a piece of land also for himself, he said, no, this is mine. Look, see?
It's under my name.
Yes, it's my certificate. And the law itself was also bad because they said the person registered there is the absolute owner of the property.
Yeah.
So they would go to court, they begin fighting and go to court. The court would decide, would look at the title and say it is so-and-so.
Yeah.
Then there would be an appeal, and the appeal would come, and the court may say that there was no problem, yes, that's it. And the first son would go and sharpen the panga.
Yes, true.
Then you just hear somebody.
Unfortunately.
Somebody was found dead. Nothing was stolen from him.
And you know what, Judge? 40, 50 years later, they're still fighting.
Yes, even now.
They are still fighting.
Yes.
For that piece of land, which means nothing because they will leave it there.
Exactly.
That is so unfortunate. I don't get it. I really don't get it. It makes no sense. You know what? I want to take a break, come back and talk about what was it? You mentioned Charles Jonjo a moment ago, who said, none of these cases should go to Africans. you and him clashed along the way. In fact, he once said that you will never become a judge as long as he's...
Has anything to do with it.
To your face?
Yes.
Oh, my God. I want to hear that. After the break, keep tweeting, folks. We're talking to Judge Lee Muthoga. And he's still a judge, and he's still working at 80 years old. Look at him. He looks fantastic. He's still working and loving what he does because he was born to be a lawyer. Keep tweeting, folks, at Quay Negative. I see lots of tweets coming in thick and fast. At Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag is JKLIVE. JKLIVE takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.